This
Yes.
is a very clearly political problem that is being shrouded in religion to make people pick sides. It's purely politics, nation over nation, and they use the flag of Judaism, Islam, Christianity, so that the rest of the world can pick a side.
But you don't want this to escalate into World War III, and you don't want to give your tax money to a government filled with cartoon villains. But then also, does Hamas represent the Palestinian people? I'll blur your face out if you're uncomfortable. I'll blur if you're uncomfortable, I'll block your face out. That's totally.
Yeah, I'm here with my flag. I'm not gonna blur my face.
Okay.
I'm gonna be in your face.
Okay.
And Biden's face.
No, I don't like Joe Biden. I'm not voting. Look, I'm not voting for him.
I'm sure you're probably not. Who are you voting for?
Honestly, probably Kennedy.
Of course, that checks out.
Yeah, that makes
We're gonna look for some tables.
Probably Kennedy. Probably Kennedy.
Have a good one.
All right.
Because religious discrimination by a government is wrong.
Netanyahu has said that 9/11 was beneficial for Israel because it turned the U.S. public opinion against Arabs or Muslim people.
Netanyahu said a lot of very abominable and crazy things. He's also admitted to helping fund Hamas as well. Do you think, because we know that the Israeli government, they're cartoon villains, we're not playing gotcha games or anything like that, I just want to be clear on that. How do you feel about Hamas?
I'm not a supporter. They also mix religion and government. I don't support them.
Do you think that Hamas is also a part of the problem as well in that region?
I think Hamas is an expected result of so many decades of such intense violence. Non-violent resistance has never really been successful. But I understand the roots of the resistance, and I don't think that Hamas is a terrorist group.
You don't think they're a terrorist group?
I think Israel is a terrorist state.
We don't believe Hamas is the actual voice of Palestinians. The way they are fighting is not the way of Islam, so we don't support that.
Why does Hamas exist?
Well, because we helped. The Israeli government also, yes.
Adding to calling them a terrorist when they were more freedom fighters.
Yeah, they're not Islam. They are a Palestinian fighting force. They are fighting for Gaza, but they are not representative of Muslims or all of Islam.
But generally, when people have their needs met and are in an environment that is thriving, there is almost little to no need to
Have a radicalized population.
aggress.
Yes, I agree.
What is, when you say radicalized population, I think you and I might have a different understanding of the definition of the word radical.
Like naming elementary schools after like suicide bombers or having like jihadist reenactments in a kindergarten classroom.
Oh my God, like imagine if we put like torturers and slaveholders on our money. That would be terrible, right? That would be crazy. Could you imagine? What if we like dedicated a whole day to celebrating like people who created genocide?
You know, as Jews, we've been the most persecuted people for thousands of years. Up until about 1948, we've been treated like second, third class citizens.
Well, there's been certainly a lot of persecution of Jews over the centuries. And that's certainly a legitimate concern that people are concerned. There could be more persecution of Jews in the future. I don't think that
you don't think that like having a place, sorry, I didn't interrupt you, but you don't think like having a place to go home to as a last resort kind of serves as a backstop against some of that persecution, especially like seeing some of like the actual Nazi rhetoric, not like, oh, you didn't want to wear a mask or get a vaccine so you're a Nazi, like real Nazis like proliferating on Twitter. You don't think that like having a home, considering the political climate that we're in, is a viable insurance policy? If you look at the other Arab countries, like from a historical precedent, Jews never really had a right to live in a lot of these Arab regions without being treated as second-class citizens.
And that was wrong.
I know. So you understand the perspective of saying, okay, finally we have our own place. We've been persecuted for thousands upon thousands of years everywhere. Finally we have our own place. There's no way in hell that you're going to give that up, right? So I think my consensus is if you're going to have a ceasefire, one of the corners to having a permanent ceasefire is to have to recognize that Israel should exist and then reestablish, how the borders look, and then get new governments in on both sides.
Okay. I think that the idea of the state of Israel is a great idea in theory, but I don't think there should be any form of a state of Israel on any Palestinian land.
And
All
it
right.
should not be based
I
on
do
everything.
have the radical belief of free Palestine entirely.
And do you think that we could get a two-state solution?
That's the only way out.
That's the only way out.
Okay, so a state for Israel and a state for Palestine.
Exactly. Living peacefully side by side.
As members of the community, how do you think you would fit in if you were to go to Gaza or the West Bank or in that region?
I think I would be bombed by Israel.
Are you voting for Biden in the 2024 election?
Yes, I am.
I was with another trans friend of mine at a protest, and we were all getting into a minivan to be shuttled to a banner dropped. And there was a child there who I believe was Islamic and saw my lanyard and said, "Why does your lanyard look transgender?" And I said, "It's because I'm transgender." And he did say like, "Oh, Allah's gonna punish you."
Did you get the fucking cloth shot?
COVID?
Yeah.
No.
Good shot. I didn't need it. All right. You're a democratic socialist.
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
Do you think that the rich or people with means should pay more taxes?
That we should have a progressive tax system like we do. Is that what
Do you think that wealthy people should pay more taxes?
yeah, definitely.
Okay. Even though a large portion of our taxes are going towards carpet bombing the Gaza Strip.
I don't think that means we should not have a progressive tax system. I think that means the taxes should be spent on other things.
Right, but provided that that's not being spent on other things and there's no way to for us to determine what our taxes get spent on representatively, do you think that maybe we could rethink how we tax people or whether or not a lot of these taxes are even necessary at all?
I think the taxes are absolutely necessary because we have many things that we need to pay for, and so that money should be allocated
Yes,
to other places.
Like Ukraine.
Well,
like funding,
that's a whole different
like funding the project. They have a very vibrant gay community in Tel Aviv. Like they Tel Aviv makes it makes San Francisco look like Oklahoma.
Well, that's great.
Good to know.
Yeah, just letting you know, like Tel Aviv does make San Francisco look like the middle of rural. It makes San Francisco look like a theocracy. I'm not a Netanyahu sympathizer, so I just want you to understand this guy is he's dog shit. But I also want to be able to know that I have a country to go home to in case what happened in the 1930s in Germany or pogroms or all that other stuff comes back. I want to know that I have a spot, and everybody should have a spot to go. So
No matter how the Israelis behave now, whether it's good or bad, it still doesn't change the fact that the state is built on.
It doesn't justify genocide.
Like, it's built on.
what about America?
America sucks.
Did you guys vote in 2020?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I ask you who?
Trump.
You voted Trump?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Voted Donald Trump.
All right. Are y'all?
Do you all?
What? No, a little bit.
If I decided to convert to Judaism and go to Israel, then could I have an abortion? And would he call me back and put me in jail if I did it in Israel?
You've been to Israel.
Yeah.
I haven't. I'm not allowed to go, right? My grandparents were forced out in 1948.
So you're not allowed to go. If you went and got on a plane to visit, they wouldn't let you.
Tel Aviv, I'd get turned back
there.
around.
What?
I have to go through Jordan. I'm not allowed to go into the airport.
You're not allowed. What?
The first time I went into Israel, I went in as an American because I had no other papers.
Yeah.
Because I went in as an American the first time, because right after my first trip, I was gonna get my Palestinian passport. My dad kept it. He made sure it didn't expire because he wants his kids to have it. Because by Israeli law, you're not allowed to live unless you have paperwork.
Yeah.
So I had to go in on the American the first time so I could see my family in the Israeli side, because I will never be able to see them again once I get my Palestinian passport. Now that I have my Palestinian passport, I can only FaceTime them. When I go to Palestine, there's a bridge for us. We are only allowed to enter on the West Bank side, and you know the wall that separates the West Bank from Israel? I'm not allowed to cross it. Even though I'm an American citizen, I'm not allowed to go in on the American passport. I must go in on the Palestinian, and I'm not allowed to visit my family on the other side of the wall. I have to apply for I can't go to Jerusalem and visit my holy mosque anymore. I've been one time only.
And you probably
I can't go again.
Because I've been in Jerusalem and I've seen mosques on the wall, and I'm like, well, how do you call it an apartheid state when there's a mosque right in front of you on the wall? Like that's
right.
That's I never understood. Okay.
The context of it being an apartheid state is it being a controlled entrance and exit.